Hey folks, if you're the type who spends a weekend out in the field, whether it's birdwatching in a marsh, scanning distant peaks on a hike, or trying to pull a clear view of a distant sporting event, you know the frustration of a spotting scope that either falls short on clarity or gets tangled up in the weather. The decision to drop a few $100s on a high magnification scope can feel like a gamble. Will it really deliver the crisp detail I need, or will I end up with a heavy piece of glass I can't comfortably set up? In the next few minutes I'm going to walk through what makes the Vortex Razor HD 2248 by 65 straight spotting scope tick, or it might let you down, and who should actually consider spending their hard-earned cash on this particular model. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the core need that brings most of us to a spotting scope in the first place: getting the sharpest possible image at a distance where binoculars just aren't enough. The Razor HD uses a Triplet Apochromatic lens system, which is a fancy way of saying the glass is engineered to bring 3 wavelengths of light into focus at the same plane. In practice, that translates to an image that stays color accurate even at the max 48 zoom. I've tested a couple of scopes in similar price ranges on a 2-mile distant mountain ridge, and the difference showed up as a noticeable reduction in chromatic fringing, those purple or green outlines that can really ruin a bird's plumage when you're trying to identify it. That level of color fidelity is something you'll feel day to day if you're often pulling up to the highest magnification setting. Now, the practical side of using this thing in the field. The scope's 65mm objective lens, larger than the 50mm you see on many entry-level models, means you're gathering more light, which helps when the sun is low or the sky is a bit hazy. Coupled with the extra low dispersion glass, the image remains bright rather than turning into a washed-out mess at 40 or 48. For a real-world scenario, picture yourself at a local wildlife preserve just after sunrise. You raise the scope, twist the focus, and the details of a morning kingfisher's feathers are still crisp and vivid, something that smaller lenses would struggle with. That's the kind of day-to-day advantage that distinguishes a higher-end scope from a budget option that simply amplifies what you already see, but with a lot more noise. Of course, magnification isn't the only factor that determines usability. The Razor HD's helical focus dials are smooth and, more importantly, they maintain the scope's balance as you turn them. In the past I've hit the frustration where a focus knob pulls the whole instrument off its tripod, forcing a readjustment. Not an issue here. The dials let you fine-tune focus while the scope stays snugly seated on a standard 3-piece Vortex tripod, even if you're on uneven terrain. That means you can actually track a moving subject, a soaring hawk or a racing yacht, without constantly fighting the scope's tendency to tip. It's a small mechanical detail, but it makes a huge difference when you're trying to keep both eyes on a moving target. Another practical concern for most outdoor users is weather protection. The Razor HD is O-ring sealed and argon purged, which is Vortex's way of saying the interior is filled with inert gas and the seals keep out water and moisture. In a field test during a sudden downpour on a coastal bluff, the scope's optics stayed fog-free and the housing showed no sign of water ingress after a full hour of exposure. That's crucial if you plan to leave your scope out on a windy, damp morning while you set up camp or wait for wildlife to appear. I won't pretend this makes it indestructible, no field gear is, but it does give you confidence that a short splash won't ruin the image clarity in the middle of a hunt. Now, let's talk money. The Razor HD sits in a price bracket that many call professional grade, and that label can be intimidating. For someone who only pulls out a spotting scope once a year for a big event, the cost may feel steep. However, the value isn't just in the optics, it's also in the unlimited, unconditional lifetime VIP warranty that Vortex backs the product with. In theory, that means you won't have to worry about costly repairs if the scope ever suffers a mechanical break or a seal fails. For a regular user, say a birder who attends weekly outings or a photographer who frequently scopes distant landscapes, this warranty essentially spreads the cost over many years of use, turning what looks like a big upfront fee into a reasonable long-term investment. Who should buy this? If you are an avid birdwatcher, a dedicated hunter, a marine enthusiast who follows distant shoals, or someone who regularly attends sporting events from a distance, the Razor HD's combination of high magnification range and color-correct optics provides a genuine advantage. Its ability to